All right, we are live on YouTube. We are live on Instagram. Welcome, folks, to the P on Ice Daily Show. My name is Dustin Jones, and this is Wednesday, where we're talking about all things older adults. So, today, what we have, our topic at hand is going to be if you want to live longer, you got to do this. All right. This is probably one of the most important variables in relation to longevity, but realistically, it's one of the most neglected and ignored. So, we're going to dive into that. Before we get into the goods, I want to mention we have two online courses coming up in terms of MMOA or Modern Management of the Older Adult. Our Essential Foundations, our introductory course, starts January 4th, and then our Advanced Concepts course starts January 12th. Advanced Concepts is for those that has taken Essential Foundations, and we're going to hit the ground running with our lives as well. Got a whole lot of stuff planned for folks in 2023, so we're likely going to be in your neck of the woods. You can check out all those courses, links, all that information at ptonice.com. All right. So you want to live long, do this. So in the Modern Management of the Older Adult curriculum, you're going to hear this phrase thrown out a lot. We want to be old people in training. We're all old people in training, and this is something that we aspire to be, to do, to really think about. This term really stems from Ashton Applewhite, who wrote a book called This Chair Rocks. When she talks about becoming an old person in training, what she says is that becoming an old person in training allows us to choose purpose and intent over dread and denial. It allows us to choose purpose and intent over dread and denial and connects us empathetically with our future selves. That is beautiful. I'm going to read that again. Becoming an old person in training allows us to choose purpose and intent over dread and denial and connects us empathetically with our future selves. Beautiful, right? That concept of becoming an old person training, of thinking about our future selves, of Jeff Moore will talk about the rocking chair moment, right? When you're, maybe in your mid to late 80s, 90s, and whenever kind of that end stage is and you're on the rocking chair, putting yourself in that situation, thinking about your life, what choices you wish you would have made or not have made, and that we are trying to live a life thinking about that moment, thinking about our future selves. Now, when we talk about this in the context of our courses, we're often thinking about some of the health components of that, right? We talk about the importance of resistance training, of what the evidence is showing, that the stronger we get, if we continue this this habit of resistance training over our lifespan, that's going to help your future self tremendously, right? We want to practice that ourselves. We want to implement this with our patients as well. Consistent aerobic training is very beneficial. The evidence is very clear that we want to have great aerobic capacity. So we want to be doing those things now to benefit our future selves. We want to be challenging tons of doing novel tasks, trying to learn new things, making sure that we're not getting too stale and getting in a rut, that we're constantly challenging our bodies and then our minds as well. We're focused on the value of sleep, the value of nutrition, and some of these recovery principles that the evidence is showing very clearly, that things like sauna, heat exposure, and cold exposure, cold showers, all those types of things can really influence our ability to recover and repair. We also want to value deep, meaningful connections, that we have a connection with people in our community, that we have sense of purpose. All of those things, right, are beautiful, and they're going to really influence our future selves. And that's really what we've been talking about as becoming an old person in training. Unfortunately, the reality is that as we have been talking about this concept, we have only been speaking to half of the equation, only half of the equation. And in reality, maybe the lesser half of the equation when we're talking about longevity, when we're talking about what it means to become an old person in training. And that equation is this: that if you want to live long, if you want to become an old person in training, you need to fight death while welcoming it with open arms. You need to fight death while welcoming it with open arms. Let me dive into this a little bit more. The context of this comes from a TV series that many of the MOA faculty have been watching over the past couple months. It's called Limitless with Chris Hemsworth. It's airing on Disney Plus, I believe. The premise of this show is how to live better longer. And so Chris, who I'm not a big movie guy, but he's the star character in the Thor movies. So many of you all are very familiar with this guy. I wasn't aware of him before this episode, but he goes through these different episodes that have different themes, where there's a particular challenge, and the whole theme is a particular area of life that he can influence, to make his life better and longer. So the first one is on stress, how we perceive stress, how that influences our body, in so many ways, and how we can really overcome that with a lot of practical tricks and tips that they go through. The second one is shock, the benefit of shocking the system in relation to heat exposure, like a sauna, or cold exposure, like a cold plunge, and what that can do to recovery. The third one is the importance of strength, which we talk about all the time. Fourth one is fasting, of what that can do for our health. Memory was the fifth one. Then the last one. The last one is the one that rocked my world and has been super influential for many of the folks that have watched this, and it's on acceptance. So the beautiful thing is they go through this whole series of, all right, you can do this. You can take a cold shower every day and then do a cold plunge once a week. And then every 3 months, do a 3-day fast and make sure you're getting, 5 days a week of resistance training and then mindful breathing and all this stuff, right? That we all talk about. Many of us are practicing to fight death, right? We're prolonging that moment when our life is going to end. But oh, wait, the last episode and the most important topic is you need to accept that you're going to die. You need to accept that regardless of all this effort that you're going to put in to making your body as strong as possible, your body will fail you. Oh, yes, the importance of having meaningful relationships and connecting your community is super important for longevity, but you're going to lose every single one of those relationships at some point. Yes, you need to challenge your mind. You need to make sure that your mind and your memory stay sharp and challenge your mind in novel, new ways, but that mind is going to fail you. You are going to die. And what a privilege that is. What? It really rocks your world. And so the beautiful thing, what they do with this is that they show the how beautiful death is. And we often don't think about this, right? We always think about the negative side of aging and the negative side of death. But what this episode does is gives context to the beauty of the wrinkles, of the aging, of the loss, because that loss means that you were able to gain throughout your life. They really hit this home with a few different interactions with some very young individuals. I believe a woman in her 20s or 30s that got hit with a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. And that conversation with that woman was absolutely beautiful, because that woman is saying, I want that gray hair. I want those wrinkles. I want to even get the opportunity to lose some of my friends, to lose my physical capacity when I'm 80 and 90 some years old. My gosh, I would give anything to make sure I can live the next 60 years, because she is facing death right now at the age of 35, if you will. And so what they're really getting at, and this episode is in combination with Dr. BJ Miller, who's a palliative care physician, is that when we look at folks that live long and live well, what they do is they fight death like crazy. They do all the things that we talk about on this podcast. They get super strong. They value their sleep. They value their nutrition, relationships, their cognitive capacity. They do all the right things, right? But they also accept and welcome that they are going to die. It seems like they're opposing one another, right? But it's this beautiful dance that if you're able to have that acceptance and truly become an old person in training while you're still trying to push that death back and back and back and back, if you're able to do both of those at the same time, you'll likely live longer and you'll live better. You'll have a full life. That when you're in that rocking chair moment, when you're 90 years old, thinking back at your life, you're not going to have any regrets. Another saying that we like to throw around the Institute of Clinical Excellence is that we want to give the grave only bones. And those are the types of people that do that fight death till the end, but then they're also welcoming it with open arms. So I apologize to all of our MOA students, because we've tried to talk about old people in training and becoming old people in training, but we only talked about half of the equation. We've completely neglected the acceptance of death and the privilege of death, and what that actually means, that we have been given the ability to live life on this planet for maybe 70, 80, 90 years. My gosh, that is a gift. It is a gift to even get to that point. We have not really spoken to that, and I'm sorry. And we're going to really change that. We're going to talk about we're going to fight death till the end, but we're also going to welcome it with open arms, and really accept that this is inevitable for every single person here. All right, that's all I got. I'd love to hear your thoughts. This series really rocked my world. Limitless with Chris Hemsworth. I highly recommend that you check this out. If you don't have access to Disney Plus or can't get a hold of it, hit me up. I'll share my login. But I think this is a very, very important episode that we need to be thinking about individually, but then also in the context of healthcare, because we're walking with people through these stages, and we need to be equipped to understand kind of what they're dealing with, and some of the things that they may not have grappled with, that we need to at least have considered that ourselves. And this series will really help you do that. All right, y'all have a lovely Wednesday. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the Hump Day Hustle that just went out, and y'all take care.